What's up, everyone? Welcome back to the TLZ Podcast. I'm your host, Tony, and this is where we sit down with elite athletes and professionals to break down the journey, the mindset, and what it really takes to compete at the highest level. As we always say here, when you train your mind, you change your game. Before we get started, if you enjoyed today's episode, make sure you hit that like button and the subscribe button down below so that support for the channel truly helps the channel grow. Also, don't forget to follow us on our socials at the TLZ Podcast to stay up to date on upcoming guests and highlights. Now let's get into today's episode. All right, everyone, welcome back to another host-only episode. I'm super excited for today's episode. We're going to be diving into the World Championships, which is going to be coming up in the next few days. I'm going to be sharing some of my predictions for the top 4 finishers for each event, as well as the dark horses and some honorable mentions for each discipline. So super excited to share my thoughts. And also make sure you guys tune in till the end of the episode today. We're going to have a huge announcement on TLZ Podcast coverage on the World Championships, as well as a very special event that will probably get you guys some free stuff. So definitely make sure you guys tune into that and wait till the end to hear the news. All right. But yeah, let's dive right into the World Championships. This is so exciting. I think I was looking through all the draws for each event, and I think overall it's just going to be a great time for all the fans. Some incredible matchups that I think, we can look forward to. By the way, big shout out to Ben Beckman for the absolutely amazing videos that he's made for the World Championships. If you guys haven't watched it already, Ben did a breakdown of every single, draw for each event. He did an absolutely amazing job. I mean, he put a lot of time and effort into that. So definitely, if you guys haven't checked it out yet, make sure to watch it. Go check out his YouTube channel. He's doing absolutely amazing things there. So shout out to Ben. Before we jump into the predictions today, I do want to mention one thing. If you guys watched our podcast with Coach Xie, Konglova, and Ratchanok's coach, you'll know that one of the things that he mentioned that is absolutely important when it comes to tournaments of this level is your mental resilience. So I do want to say that, for a tournament of this level, every player that is playing is at a very high level, especially the top 10 ranked players for each event. I mean, usually everybody's level is pretty similar to a certain point, and usually only comes down to how they perform that certain day, right? And that match. So no matter what the predictions are, I do want everybody to keep in mind that anything can happen in a tournament. A player's mentality for that certain match, or what they ate the day before, or how they slept the day before, if they have jet lag, if there's wind, if there's anything bothering them, any little thing can make a huge difference in a tournament like this when everybody's level is so close. So I do want to say that before we jump into this, for everybody to keep in mind that, everybody is playing at this high level now. So, anybody could win at any time. With that in mind, let's jump right into today's predictions. Let's start with the women's singles event, and then we can end on a men's singles. All right. So first, let's take a look at the draws. I'm going to have it actually to my right here, so you guys will be able to see that and follow along. So we're going to look at the top left quadrant first, and we're going to talk about who's going to most likely make it to the semifinals and who will be in the top 4. All right. So looking at the top left quadrant, immediately, I think for women's singles, this one is quite obvious, right? Obviously, An Sae-young is absolutely killing it this year, right? She has a 97.44% win rate this season. So essentially what that means is basically every match she plays, she's winning, right? Now, I'm sure everybody has heard about An Sae-young's left foot injury that's been bothering her for quite some time now. I don't see that being a huge issue. She did come out and say that she's feeling a little better, although she's still feeling some discomfort there. She's going to try to push through it. I do want to mention, at this stage of the season, usually all of the players are playing with some kind of discomfort, some kind of pain. Of course, there's different levels of injuries, right? But I think for this one, I don't think it will bother An Sae-young too much, and I don't think it will affect her performance at a very high level. So I'm really hopeful to see how she will perform with it. But overall, she's unstoppable, right? And I think it would be absolutely disrespectful if we don't have her moving to the semifinals. So I think that's like an absolute no-brainer for sure. Got to show her the respect that she deserves. But, obviously there are going to be some people that I think is going to be quite some trouble for her along the way that we're going to talk about when we get to the dark horses section. But definitely for the top left section, we're going to have An Sae-young coming out on top. I think that's very reasonable. And looking at the bottom left quadrant, it's definitely a lot more tight competition going on, right? So obviously we got Wang Zhiyi at the number 3 seed, extremely strong player, definitely ready to go for this World Championships. And I think her draw is actually quite favorable. Not the most difficult, I would say. compared to some of her peers. And definitely some to watch for. Obviously, Bei Wenjiang from US is going to be a good match, but I don't think it will propose a huge challenge for her. She should be able to cruise through that and arrive in the next few rounds. And talking about that, I think the biggest competition for her before she reached I believe, the quarterfinals is Posarla Sindhu from India, right? I think that's going to be an incredible match, and we're going to talk a lot more about Posarla coming up. But, looking at Wang Zhiyi's year so far, right? Obviously, she's close to level with Posarla, but I think Wang Zhiyi will be able to pull through that match and come out on top, which means that she'll be going to the quarterfinals. I think she'll be able to take Posarla just because I'm not sure how Posarla is going to react to the home crowd advantage yet, especially just overall in general for all Indian players. I think it's going to be difficult. A lot of people expect the home crowd to be a huge advantage and everybody will play a lot better. But sometimes it's like a double-edged sword and it backfires on you, right? Because you want to perform. So that's the only part I'm worried about for Posarla in that match. So that's why I'm going to have Wang Zhiyi coming out on top for now. And looking at the bottom left quadrant, obviously some names that stand out. Lene Christofferson recently watched her at the US Open. She played absolutely amazing. I mean, she uses her height very well, which gives her a lot of advantages to hit a lot of steep offensive shots, which I think is quite crucial when it comes to the higher level matches. And also somebody else that stands out definitely is going to be Putri Wardani from Indonesia. Absolutely incredible player. It's going to be a very difficult match, I think, for Lene to beat Putri. For Lene, I think she definitely has all the basic abilities that she's going to need to win these tough matches. However, when I watched her in US Open, I think one of the things that stood out to me was still her ability to control her mentality in every single match, right? Like, obviously, she's a great player. She has the mindset of an athlete and she's able to go through these tough moments. But I think there were some moments throughout her US Open journey where I feel like she could have handled the pressure much better. So that's one of the reasons I think Putri is going to have that game over Lene when it comes to their matchup. And because of that, we're going to have Putri moving forward to play Wang Zhiyi in the quarterfinals, right? And I think that's going to be an incredibly difficult match to call, right? I think Putri is going to be super hungry for that match because obviously she hasn't done very well against Wang Zhiyi historically, but I think we also got to look at the statistics here, right? Wang Zhiyi beat Putri 7 out of 8 times that they matched up in their career, right? So I feel like once a player wins a certain matchup 90% of the time, I think it's safe to say that that matchup is favorable for that player in some type of way, whether it's mentally she has an edge over her opponent or her playing style has an edge over her opponent, right? So in this case, because of her statistics, of being, 7-1 against Putri, I'm going to have Wang Zhiyi moving into the semifinals. So if we look at the entire left quadrant right here, right? In this case, we're going to have An Sai-yong coming out to the semifinals, playing Wang Zhiyi from China, right? And that's going to be an incredible match. Those two players will definitely be in our top 4. But before we say who will win in the semifinals, let's look at the top right quadrant first. Obviously, some names that stand out immediately. Ratchanak Intanon, the former world champion, youngest world champion to ever win the tournament. She's an absolutely incredible player, by the way. When I spoke with Coach Xie recently, her coach, I find myself having this new understanding of her entire story, how she came up from it. So absolutely amazing player. And also we have Chen Yufei, the number 4 seed from China, that stands out to us immediately, right? Because obviously Chen Yufei is one of the best players right now for women's singles. I think it's undeniable that she's doing absolutely amazing. However, let's talk about who will make it to the semifinal round for the top right quadrant. I think overall on the top right here, with Ratchanak at the number 7, if we look at their head-to-head statistics, Ratchanak has actually been able to beat every single player here quite consistently. So I don't think she will have too much trouble going through these opponents. Obviously, Okuhara from Japan is going to be a tough matchup, but I think historically, Ratchanak Intanon has come out on top most of the time against Okuhara. So I'm counting on Ratchanak Intanon now to make it to the quarterfinals for sure. And at the bottom with Chen Yufei, right? Obviously, the one that stands out immediately is Cho Chu-won from Thailand. She's an absolutely incredible player. And I think she would really want to get that win against Chen Yufei, right? But I think Chen Yufei, based on her career and her accomplishments, she is on top of her game right now. And I don't think that Cho Chuan will stand a chance this time against Chen Yufei in the round of 16. So I have Chen Yufei coming out on the quarterfinals. I do think Polina will give Chen Yufei a fight for sure, because obviously Polina doesn't back down without a fight, right? She's an absolute fighter. But I think Chen Yufei will have the upper hand here for sure. So I do have Chen Yufei and Ratchanak Intanon coming out in the quarterfinals. And this is where we're going to have our very first upset, right? And I'm predicting that Ratchanak Intanon will take out Chen Yufei in the quarterfinals for women's singles. All right. Now, hear me out. I understand that this is a crazy take, right? And it's definitely a little bit of a reach, right? Obviously, Ratchanak Intanon is still playing at a very high level, right? Obviously, she's a little older now, but she's still playing exceptional, right? And hear me out why I think this is feasible, right? First of all, she actually beat Chen Yufei very recently, right? So Ratchanak Intanon recently beat Chen Yufei actually at the Malaysian Masters in May, right? So that's only been like less than 3 months. So she absolutely showed that she can do this, right? Although like obviously Chen Yufei got her back in, I think it was China Open. She got her back, but what she showed is that she's still capable to play at this level and to beat somebody that high up ranked in the world right now, right? So I definitely wouldn't count Ratchanak Intanon out on this. And the reason why I have Ratchanak over Chen Yufei this time is that I think the pre-game preparation is going to be crucial for this tournament, right? And especially for this match, because for Chen Yufei, she has a lot riding on her shoulders, right? The entire country of China is riding on her for women's singles, right? They're really depending on her to bring back a medal. So I think she's going to be feeling the pressure 100%, almost like Li Xiaorui was feeling the pressure in the final match against Ratchanak when she was younger, right? The one where Ratchanak won. So I think it's going to be a very similar situation, right? And I'm betting that the pressure on Chen Yufei is going to affect her play somehow. And Ratchanak will be able to have a better pre-game preparation than Chen Yufei and come out swinging, right? And the most important thing, though, is that Ratchanak has to come into this match wanting to win this game, right? And she needs to have absolute confidence that she can take Chen Yufei down and come in with that aggressive nature. And I think one thing that we noticed when we look at the history between these two players is that oftentimes Ratchanak Intanon does a much better job against Chen Yufei when it's a 2-set match. The moment it starts stretching to the 3rd set, Chen Yufei starts getting an advantage. Stretching Ratchanak across the court and just tiring her out, right? So I think Ratchanak has to come out the gate strong. Play a very good first set is absolutely crucial, and then maintain, right? If she's able to do that, I foresee Ratchanak Intanon taking this quarterfinals. All right. So with that being said, we have Ratchanak Intanon moving into the semifinals, eliminating Chen Yufei in the quarterfinals, breaking Chinese people's hearts. I know for this year again, right? So that's my prediction for the top right quadrant. Now looking at the bottom right quadrant, right? Person facing Ratchanak in the semifinals is amongst these amazing players. Obviously, Akane Yamaguchi from Japan, absolute favorite, right? She's a killer. Aside from Ansayo, Akane Yamaguchi and Chen Yufei, these players are like best of the best, right, for women's singles. So I definitely have her top of the list for sure, 100%. I don't think she's gonna have too much trouble with anybody really in this draw, but for sure, I think she should absolutely play one match at a time, take it easy, focus every single match, make sure that she finishes off nice and clean, right? And I think facing her in the quarterfinals most likely would be Tomoka Miyazaki, right? I think Tomoka Miyazaki is going to do an absolutely amazing job. I mean, she's so young. She's only 19 years old, right? And she's already killing it. And so I absolutely think Tomoka Miyazaki is going to be making it to the quarterfinals for the lower quadrant and face off against Akane Yamaguchi. Now, this match goes into our dark horse conversation now, okay? So I won't dig too deep into it, but I do have Akane Yamaguchi coming out on top just because she's a veteran, right? She's a veteran. She has experience winning these important matches. So I do have her coming out on top. But I will talk about this match a little more in the next few minutes, all right? So what that means is we have Akane Yamaguchi and Ratchanak Intanon facing off on the right side of the draw in the semifinals to go for a final spot. And here, I will have to say, I do have Ratchanak Intanon losing in the semifinals against Akane. And the reason why is if you look at their history against each other, right? The last time Ratchanak beat Akane was in 2023. So it's been a very, very long time since Ratchanak has been able to beat Akane Yamaguchi. And I think that says a lot about the competition, right? And I think you can't ignore history like that, and you absolutely have to follow the statistics on that. And I do think Akane Yamaguchi is in one of the best shapes of her life, and she's doing absolutely amazing things, right? And I think Rashina will have a hard time, especially after just defeating Chen Yufei. I think she's going to have a hard time against Akane Yamaguchi. So I do have Akane Yamaguchi coming out into the finals to face off against, of course, I think this is a no-brainer. We did say we have An Se-young and Wang Zhiyi in the semifinals on the other side. I do have An Se-young coming out. Obviously, she's been killing this year. I think it's a no-brainer that she makes it out into the finals. Will Wang Zhiyi give her a fight? Absolutely. Definitely. I think An Se-young will need to be really focused, stay on top of her game, do what she does best, and she will be okay, right? So I do have An Se-young coming out into the finals to face off against Akane Yamaguchi. All right. Now, this match is very, very tough, right, for Akane Yamaguchi. Obviously, An Se-young is in another tier of her own, right? She's almost like becoming the next Lin Dan for women's singles, right? Arguably can be the greatest women singles players of all time by the end of her career. So she's on an incredible historic run, right, with a 97.4% win rate, basically winning every tournament she plays at that point. So, and another statistic that I think is extremely crucial when it comes to the final match against Yamaguchi is that in the last year or so, she's never lost to Akane, not even once. So I think that speaks a lot to the level difference that they're at right now, or just An Se-young to everybody, really. I think An Se-young is another tier of her own, and she's absolutely killing her build, her physical, her skills, everything is at the top of her game. I think the only thing that can stop her is herself. So I absolutely have An Se-young winning this finals, coming out on top, which means that our top 4 finishers for women's singles at the World Championships is going to be number 1, An Se-young, and at second place, Akane Yamaguchi from Japan. At the 3-4th place, we have Wang Zhiyi from China, and the other 3-4th place, we have Ratchanak Intanon from Thailand. That's my 4 picks for women's singles. Let me know if you guys agree with that. I know obviously every player has an opportunity, right? At this level, I mean, there's so much that can go wrong and so much that can go right for each player. So we'll see. We'll see how they play. All right. But going back to talking about the dark horses in this draw, right? I'm super excited to talk about this actually. So we mentioned Pusarla Sindhu from India, right? Now, Pusarla Sindhu is in the same section as Wang Zhiyi, right? With the top seed, the number 3 seed. And I think, we just talked about how I'm worried about how Pusarla is going to approach the home crowd, right? Because it's a double-edged sword, really. You can have so much expectations on you, which can mess up your mental and you won't be able to perform. Or you can really tone out the crowd and be able to play your game and still have the crowd encourage you and give you another boost. That is the ideal situation, right? So I think with Pusarla, it really matters how she comes into these games mentally. How does she accept the crowd into her game? When does she allow herself to get encouraged by the crowd? And when does she keep to herself and keep to her game, right? So that's going to be crucial for her. If Pusarla is able to wield the power of the crowd, right, and improve her game playing for the home crowd, she will be a completely different beast. I'm telling you right now, right? Because she's already very close in level with Wang Zhiyi, right? They go back and forth every single time they play against each other, and the level is very close. If she's able to wield that power of the home crowd, right, she will be able to go through these draws and make it very, very far, possibly get a medal and make it to the semifinals, right? So I have really high hopes for her. I think Pusarla has a chance to do really, really well. Who knows? You never know what happens in the semifinals. If she make it and play An Se-young, you never know what can happen, right? If she's playing at that level. So I'm really, really rooting for her. Hopefully she can go into each game with the right mindset, take it one game at a time, focus on her game. And then while she's doing well, I hope the crowd can give her a boost and push her to the next level. All right. And the next dark horse we have for women's singles is Tomoka Miyazaki, right? I know they're seeded players, right? Obviously, Tomoka Miyazaki is the 8th seed. So she's obviously already at that level, but she's only 19 years old. Okay. She's only 19 years old. So I think a lot of people still count her out just because she's younger, right? And she obviously lacks some experience compared to the older players like Akane. And, she had a minor injury that recently happened in Uber Cup, which obviously she bounced back from in China Open, right? She played at a super high level at that tournament and showed that basically she was ready for the World Championships. But, for Tomoka, obviously her biggest challenge in these draws is going to be her own teammate, Akane Yamaguchi, right? And the reason why I say she can be a dark horse in this is because it really depends how both of them approach this match, right? if Tomoka can put Akane on a pedestal and just come in with the underdog mindset, right? Like, I'm younger, I'm hungry, I want to win, but I'm going to be patient, right? And I'm going to be here every step of the way in front of you and just come in with that grit and aggressiveness. I think it's going to be a very tough match for Akane. And it's going to be even tougher if Akane comes in with the mindset that she's nervous, right? Playing a younger player on such a big stage. And she could lose her spot right here in front of everybody's eyes to a younger player on the national team. So I think this is going to be a big game for Akane. And there's definitely a lot of pressure on Yamaguchi's shoulders for sure to win this match. I've talked to so many athletes, and I'm sure you guys listen to the podcast episodes. One thing that comes up constantly is that the player that is supposedly better will have the most pressure playing against a younger player, especially when they're from the same team, right? Because they have the same coach, they're in the same system, they watch each other train every single day, they play against each other all the time, right? So I know for a fact Akane is going to come in with pressure, but how is she going to deal with that pressure is going to be crucial, right? Is she going to be able to manage it well? Is she going to be able to take it back and be like, you know what? I don't care for the pressure. Even if I lose, I could care less, right? I'm just going to come in, play my best game. If I lose, it is what it is. If she comes out with that mindset, I think Tomoka is going to have trouble, right? For sure. But if she comes in with the mindset saying, I got to win this game, right? I cannot let this youngster beat me on the biggest stage of badminton. If that's her approach, she's going to be in trouble for sure. Yeah, because Tomoka is going to expose that. So I do have Tomoka as a dark horse because once she gets past Akane Yamaguchi, it's anyone's game. I think she can go very, very far, possibly into the finals, right? So hard to say. So definitely stay tuned for that match. Hopefully when they match up. And last but not least, my very last pick for dark horse is going to be our very own podcast guest, actually, Kalyana Naubentova from Team Bulgaria, right? The Giant Slayer. Now, I picked her because obviously in her nickname, she slays giants for a living. So obviously, she beat Ratchanak Intanon this year. I think she beat Lene Christofferson in the European Championships. She helped Team Bulgaria win their very first team championships gold by being the number one women's singles for Bulgaria. So she contributed a lot to that and had to pull off a lot of upsets throughout this season. So I think she definitely has what it takes to pull off upsets. Now, this is obviously going to be the biggest upset of all time if she can pull this off, right? This is definitely reaching for sure. But, I watched Kalyana play. I've seen her games, before our podcast and also at US Open. And I love the way that Kalyana plays, right? In a way, she's kind of similar to An Se-young because she has a very unique physique, right? She's strong for a girl, especially that age, right? And she's very fit and she has some shots, for example, her cross-court smashes that a lot of girls have a hard time doing, right? Just because they're not built like her. So I think for this match, obviously she's facing An Se-young first round, right? I think it's best case scenario for her, honestly. I think she can test herself against the best player in the world, right? And come out with no pressure at all on her shoulders. Just play her heart out and live with the results, right? But one thing for sure with Kalyana, she needs to be able to physically keep up with her, which I think is something that Kalyana can do because she does have the physique to do that. But she needs to be very, very patient for this match. She needs to come in expecting long rallies because obviously An Se-young is so solid in her rally. She doesn't make mistakes easily. Her defense is almost impenetrable. So you're going to have to, work her out, right? Definitely have a lot of long rallies with An Se-young. Don't back down from those. Take it on the chin and force her to play those long rallies and make her feel like she can't get rid of you. That's the feeling you want to give An Se-young. Like, man, Kalyana's not going anywhere, right? Like we're doing like 30-shot rallies, 35-shot rallies, and she's not going anywhere. She's staying right here with me every step of the way. That's the kind of feeling you got to give An Se-young, right? So I think the biggest opponent for this match and this upset for Kalyana is really herself, right? Obviously, Kalyana does have a tendency to rush in her matches, especially when things are going wrong, right? So I think it's very important for Kalyana to remind herself, stay calm, stay patient. This is a opponent who is very tactical and very strong and very good at long rallies. But you will need to play these long rallies to win this match. So definitely come in patient. I absolutely think Kalyana can do it. I think she has the ability to do it, but she needs to come out the gate strong. She got to come out punching first and make An Se-young feel like I underestimated this, right? That's the feeling you want to give An Se-young. So definitely one to watch for sure. I'm going to be tuning into that match and, good luck to both of them, but it's going to be a really exciting match, hopefully, and I can't wait for it. But yeah, those are my predictions for women's singles. Next up, we do have our women's doubles, right? So I'm going to pull up the draws here. So let's do the same thing. Let's go one quadrant at a time. Let's look at the top left quadrant first. Obviously, immediately that stands out. I mean, Liu Shengshu and Tan Ning from China in the first seed, they've been absolutely amazing. I think they only lost 2 games this whole season. So for me, it's a no-brainer. I think they're going to do exceptionally well, right? They're going to come out for sure into the semifinals. That's not even a question for me. Unless, obviously, things happen. We never know, right? These things are hard to predict. Anything can happen in a tournament. But if everything goes normally, I think Liu Shengshu and Tan Ning will be coming out to the semifinals. They're just playing at a very, very high level. I don't think anybody's going to be able to take a game from them. So I do have them coming out to the semifinals for sure. And then for the bottom left quadrant, I think it gets pretty interesting. We have Jia Yifan and Zhang Shuxian from China at the number 4 seed. Obviously, Jia Yifan, a silver medalist for the Olympics, a gold medal in Paris 2024, and a 4-time world champion. So absolute winner in Jia Yifan. She's carrying the youngster, Zhang Shuxian, with her. So definitely one to watch, right? For sure. And another one to watch definitely is going to be Iwanaga and Nakanishi from Japan. I think they've been playing really well recently, but I do see them coming out for sure. They might have a little bit of trouble with Allison Lee and Lauren Lam, which we're going to talk about in a second. But I do see them coming out. But overall, for the lower quadrant, I know this is going by seed, but there's a reason why these players are seeded, right? They're absolutely amazing players. I mean, Jia Yifan is 3-time world champion, right? She got gold in her veins. So I do have Jia Yifan and Zhang Shuxian coming out in the lower left quadrant to play against the other Chinese pair, Liu Shengshu and Tan Ning, in the semifinals. I think under normal circumstances, I do expect this to happen. I think, obviously they're both in good shape. Tan Ning, I think she's dealing with some Achilles injury, but she looked pretty good in the last few tournaments. So I wouldn't question that too much. So I do see them coming out into the semifinals. And if we look at the top right quadrant now, right, I think it gets a little tighter. We have Baek Hana and Lee So-hee in the number 3 seed, right, at the bottom. And then obviously Pearly Tan and Tina from Malaysia, the number 5 seed, which I think stands out immediately, right? The one thing with Pearly Tan and Tina is that I'm a little worried about Pearly's back, or else I would actually have them advancing pretty far. But I'm a little worried about Pearly's back. I think she wasn't at 100% the last tournament that she played, and you can kind of tell. So that's definitely something to watch for. Obviously, if you're paying attention to what's happening right now with the women's doubles pair. So Baek Hana and Lee So-hee, I think the last few times they played, it wasn't great. Not exactly the ideal performance, I would say. But I think, they will be able to bounce back from those performances and find what works for them. Obviously, they were trying to go through some different playing styles, but I think they're going to bounce back in the World Championships and they're going to perform exceptionally well. I don't think they will have trouble with the Japanese pair. I think it'll be a good match, but I don't think it'll be too troubling. They do have a winning record against them, so I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, so I do have Baek Hana and Lee So-hee coming out into the quarterfinals. Most likely, I will say, to face Pearly Tan and Tina, even though with Pearly's back, she's going to be struggling a little bit. But they have been the number 13 seed, the Indonesian pair, many, many times. So I'm not too worried about it. And the other pairs, obviously, the pairs from Turkey is to watch for sure. They have a chance to pull off some upsets or some very interesting matches. But if we're just going based on normal performance, I think Pearly Tan and Tina is still going to come out on top. All right. So I do have Pearly Tan and Tina going into the semifinals to go up against Baek Hana and Lee So-hee. And this is where we get tricky, right? Because I think normally, under normal circumstances, the results might be different. But in this case, considering Pearly's back, I do have Baek Hana and Lee So-hee coming out on top going into the semifinals for women's doubles. So I do have Pearly Tan losing in the quarterfinals. All right. Unfortunately, not getting a medal for now. Okay. Before we get into that further, let's talk about the lower right quadrant. I think, obviously, Yuki Fukushima and Mayu Matsumoto stand out, right, as the number 2 seed. They play absolutely great badminton, by the way. They're doing exceptionally well. I don't think Paulina and the Malaysian pair is going to pose too big of a threat, honestly, the first round that they play. Love Paulina and everybody there, but I just don't think that they're up to that level yet to be giving them too much stress. So that's what I have for the Japanese pair. And then I think one to definitely watch for that will be a big threat to Fukushima and Matsumoto from Japan is going to be Li Jing and Luo Xuming from China, the number 8 seed. They've played many times before, and they go back and forth every single time. And especially in China Open, where they last played against each other, the game ended in 3 sets in favor of the Japanese pair. So it's very, very close. The competition is very tight. But overall, in the historic matchups, the Japanese pair still is in favor over the Chinese pair. And I think we do have to take that into consideration, given that, the history, there's a reason why history is like that. So I do have Fukushima and Matsumoto advancing past the Chinese pair, going into the semifinals to go head-to-head against Baek Hana and Lee So-hee. And this is where we have our next upset. I do have Baek Hana and Lee So-hee beating the number 2 seed Fukushima and Matsumoto. I think a lot of people are surprised by this. I think a lot of people are worried about the Baek Hana and Lee So-hee's playing style and if they can perform. But I think that they will be able to pull through. Trust me. I think they'll be able to figure out their playing style and be able to come out aggressive, right? Definitely more aggressive. And I picked them over Yuki Fukushima and Mayu Matsumoto because their total head-to-head matchup is 6-1 in favor of the Korean pair. And like I said before, when you have won so many games in your matchups against the same opponents, that tells you something. Whether it's mentally you have an edge over your opponents or your playing style kind of counters your opponent's playing style in some way, right? So that's the reason why I have Baek Hana and Lee So-hee proceeding into the finals past Fukushima and Matsumoto. But that is obviously based on if Baek Hana and Lee So-hee can perform, right? Which I think is going to be crucial. And I really, really hope that they can pull their act together and do really, really well in this tournament. But I think they definitely have that chance to win for sure going into the semifinals. And so that's who I have, Baek Hana and Lee So-hee going to the finals for women's doubles. Now, looking back on the left side, obviously, I do have Liu Shengshu and Tan Ning going to the finals past Jia Yifan and Zhang Shuxian in the semifinals, just because, their winning record is absolutely insane this year. They only lost 2 games. The chances of them losing is going to be quite low just based on statistics alone. They just got to come in with the right mindset, which is what I'm going to talk about right now. I think one of the most exciting matches for the women's doubles is going to be the semifinals between the 2 Chinese pairs. Because in the last meeting, right, they actually met pretty recently. Jia Yifan and Zhang Shuxian actually beat the number 1 seed 22-20, 21-19. Obviously, it's very close, but they did it, right? They beat them. And I think that's crucial. And I think it gives them a lot of confidence going into the semifinal match, right? To go into the finals. So I do have Jia Yifan and Zhang Shuxian as one of the honorable mentions for women's doubles. Obviously Jia Yifan's an old champion, right? She has a silver medal for Tokyo, a gold medal for Paris, 4 world championship titles. That counts for something. I need people to understand that when you win 4 world titles, that means that you know what to do. You know what to do and you know how to do it consistently, right? So I think Jia Yifan has experience on her side, right? Obviously, Liu Shengshu and Tan Ning are still young and they won 1 world title and looking to defend it, right, this year. And so I think with the experience that Jia Yifan has, right, and the recent win that they had over the number 1 seed, they're going to have a really good chance to get into the finals. So this is going to be a very tight match to watch. I'm going to be watching it. Hopefully that's the one that we get in the semifinals. But yeah, I'm super excited for that. We'll see how that goes. Another honorable mention, I think we talked about this briefly already, is going to be Pearly Tan and Tina. They're absolutely amazing, right? And I love watching them play. They definitely can beat Baek Hana and Lee So-hee in the quarterfinals, right? That's for sure. They have that opportunity. But this is really going to depend on Pearly's back again. So we'll see. We'll see how this goes. But if Pearly and Tina wins and beats Baek Hana and Lee So-hee, and they move into the semifinals, they'll most likely face the Japanese pair, right? Fukushima and Matsumoto. In that case, the Japanese pair will actually have quite an advantage. Just based on historic matchups, they will have a better chance of winning that semifinal match. So that's something to watch for. I really hope Pearly comes in feeling much better on her back and she can perform well. But you never know, because sometimes when you're hurt, you actually play better because you have lower expectations for yourself, right? Lower pressure. So I think for Pearly and Tina, just come in with a balanced mindset, understand that maybe you're not at your 100%. So no pressure. Don't have to do anything crazy. Just come out, do your best, lay everything out on the court. I think that should be the mindset that they come out with. And I think that will actually help them do a lot better. Our next honorable mention is going to be Li Yijing and Luo Xuming from China. All right. The number 8 seed in the lower quadrant. I think, they are really young. They're only 24 years old, right? So I hope they're really hungry for this win. They recently beat the number 1 seeds in Tan Ning and Liu Shengshu. So I think they have the confidence to do well in the World Championships. They will be playing most likely Yuki Fukushima and Mayu Matsumoto in the quarterfinals for these draws. And I think it's going to be a very tight match. There's a very good chance they can win. So I think they just got to come in with the right mindset. Be humble, right? Put yourself down, come in as the underdogs, and really just fight for it. Lay everything out on the court. Don't leave anything out, and just make them earn this win if they're going to win it. So if you come out with that mindset, don't put the pressure on yourself and just come out aggressive. I think they're going to have a good chance to win that match. So the semifinals could look very, very different. It could be between China and Malaysia for this side. So we'll see how that goes. For the dark horses of the women's doubles, I do have Lauren Lam and Allison Lee as a dark horse. I mean, obviously they are the strongest women's doubles pair from the US. I think their level is definitely up there to have some upsets for sure, especially with the draws they're given. I think they have a good shot. Obviously, their biggest opponent is going to be Iwanaga and Nakanishi from Japan. They previously played against them one time and they lost in straight sets. But I think how they approach these games, like the mental preparation, like we mentioned so many times already, is going to be crucial, right? How are you going to come into this game? Are you going to be aggressive? Are you going to play relaxed? Or are you going to come in very nervous and you wanting to win very bad? I think that's going to make a huge difference for this match. Definitely for Iwanaga and Nakanishi, it's going to be a lot higher pressure for this match compared to Allison and Lauren. I think the most important thing is making sure that Allison and Lauren talk before the match, have that communication. I know Allison usually is very mentally strong, right? And is able to perform very well for these matches, but make sure Lauren's on the same page and everybody can come out guns blazing immediately off the bat, right? So that's going to be very, very important. And I'm very hopeful that they can do that and achieve some great results at the World Championships. And the other dark horse I have, slightly biased, I'm not going to lie, is going to be Jenny Guy and Francesca Corbett from Team USA. You know, got to look out for our American players, right? You know, Francesca and Jenny has had some incredible games this year, right? And some big upsets that they pulled off. So I'm very hopeful for how they're going to play. Obviously, it's going to be an uphill battle every single match. I think the Australian one's going to be somewhat more manageable. But definitely, I think from then on, it's just going to be an uphill battle. For them, mental is important. Big question is, how do you approach each game, right? You got to come out aggressive. You got to come out confident that you know you can win these matches. You have to believe in yourself that you can do this, right? That's going to be extremely, extremely important. If you believe in yourself and you come out aggressive and you stay patient, you guys can do a lot of damage, right? So have high hopes for them. We'll see how our US women's doubles pairs do. Hopefully we get some good results, right? But those are my predictions for women's doubles. Moving on, I have men's doubles. We're going to start again at the top left quadrant. We have obviously the number 1 seed, super dominant, Kim Won-ho and So Sun Jae. You know, they've been playing absolutely incredible doubles. Super fun to watch, by the way. But they're going to have some tough competition. I mean, obviously the Popo brothers have been doing well. They're going to pose a threat. Ben Lang, Sean Vendy, I think is also somebody to watch for sure. It'll be a really good match if they can match up against them, which I do think is going to be the round of 16 match. I do believe it's going to be Ben Lane and Sean Mendy against the Korean pair, number 1 seed. I think that's definitely a match to watch for. But if we're just going to go based off the historics and how the Korean pair has been playing, obviously they're very dominant. I do have them going forward past our English pair into the quarterfinals, where they most likely play Gosefe and Izudin from Malaysia, which I do think the Korean pair will be able to get past. I think if we look at the head-to-head, they do have a positive win rate against them. And so I do think they're going to do well. Now, obviously, like anything can happen in tournament. Once again, like we never know, right? So, but based off of how they're playing, I think the Korean pair is a safe bet to go into the semifinals. Without a doubt, going to be doing really well. Now, looking on to the bottom left quadrant, definitely some people to watch for, right? Aaron Chia and So Woo Yik is going to be somebody to watch for, the number 4 seed. This is going to be the last time they're playing together. So this is their last ride together. It's going to be very special, really, honestly. Definitely the one to watch for in this lower quadrant is going to be Chen Bo Yang and Liu Yi, right, from China, the number 7 seed. I think they're going to pose a threat for sure to everybody in this lower quadrant draw. But I do have Aaron Chia and So Woo Yik coming out on top. I think they're going to perform exceptionally well for the last time playing together. Even though a lot of people are saying, you know, maybe they don't remember the rotations or they're going to mess up and I don't know. they're not going to do great. But as a person who played doubles before, I know that when you've played with a partner long enough, the moment you step on the court again with each other, everything clicks into place, right? Especially when you had such great achievements with that partner, everything clicks into place. I guarantee you that. I don't think they're going to have a problem at all with rotation. You can quote me on that when the tournament comes. So I have high hopes for them. And I do think that they will be able to make it past Chen Boyang and Liu Yi into the semifinals. So we do have the Malaysian pair against our number one seeds from Korea in the semifinals. And now this is where it gets tricky now, right? And I'm going to get into this a little more later, this match. But I do have the number one seed proceeding on just because they've been very, very dominant and have been playing at an exceptional level. I think they're going to cut the Malaysian pair's run short. And that's where that final game will be played for this pair, for this Malaysian pair. And now looking at the top right quadrant, this is where it gets really interesting now. And I think my picks are going to be a little different from everybody else's. One to watch for, obviously, number 3 seed, Wang Cheng and Liang Weiken from China. Very dominant pair. They're playing very well. Kim Astrup, Rasmussen, they're doing great as well. But I think they're not going to pose too big of a threat for the Chinese pair. I do think the Chinese pair will make it past them. However, I do love some Kim Astrup and his partner. I think they play absolutely incredible badminton, and obviously anything can happen. But I do have the Chinese pair coming out into the quarterfinals. And on the top, obviously the Indian pair is one to watch for, especially at a home crowd. I'm really worried about this double-edged sword with a home crowd. I'm telling you, everybody's expecting these Indian players to play well. But from an athlete standpoint, I'm telling you, it's a lot of pressure. This is a lot of pressure. How they're going to deal with it is going to be super crucial. All right. So for now, I'm going to pick Raymond, Indra, and Nicolas Joaquin over the Indian pair and have them coming out in the quarterfinal match. All right. And obviously recently, like, this Indonesian pair has been popping off. I mean, they've been killing it, like just defeating all these amazing players, right? Left and right. So I do have them coming out on top into the quarterfinals. And with that being said, another upset, right? Not only in the round of 16 against Team India, but also in the quarterfinals, I have them defeating the Chinese pair, the number 3 seed. So I do have the number 12 seed, Raymond, Indra, and Nicolas Joaquin coming out on top and going into the semifinals for men's doubles. Now, going to the bottom right quadrant, we obviously have the numbers 2 seed, Fahar Alfian and Mohammed Fikri. I think a lot of people think the 2nd seed will do really well this time, maybe even win it all, right? And beat the Korean, the number 1 seed. But I have a feeling they're going to struggle. Like the Korean pair as the number 15 seed is neck and neck with them, right? If you look at their head-to-head history, they're like up there. I think they're like 3-4 with the Indonesian pair ahead, I think. So they're like neck and neck in level and competition. And also, I think Hoki and Kobayashi from Japan is going to be a big threat too for this Indonesian pair. So I think there's a lot of ifs for the bottom right quadrant, right? It's going to be an uphill battle for sure. But I will have to say, I do have Fahar Alfian and Mohammed Fikri coming out on top. I think they've been playing really well, but it's going to be very difficult. This one I'm not too confident in. I have a feeling somebody else will be coming out of this quadrant into the semifinals. For now, I'm going to say I have them coming out, and they will be playing their peers, Raymond Indra and Nicolas Joaquin, in the semifinals, which I have another upset. I do have Joaquin and Indra winning that semifinals. I think they're super hungry. I mean, they've been just killing this year. I absolutely love this pair. Like, I think they're going to do incredibly well. I think the pressure is going to be on Alfian and Fikri, the number 2 seeds. They're going to feel the pressure of playing these young kids, and they're going to buckle under the pressure is what I'm going to bet on. So I do have Indra Joaquin going into the finals to face off against Kim Won-ho and So Sun-jae. Now, this is where it gets difficult because I really, really believe in Raymond Indra and Nicolas Joaquin. I really, really do. I really think they can win this finals match, right? I think they're an incredible pair, and I think they're the future for Indonesian men's doubles. However, you can't ignore the accomplishments of the number 1 seed this season, right? I mean, Kim Won-ho and So Sun-jae has been playing really, really well. So I do have to show them that respect and give Kim Won-ho and So Sun-jae the first place for now for men's doubles and the 2nd place for Indra and Joaquin, although I think this match is going to be incredibly insane. And I really, really think Indra and Joaquin are going to make it this far. I know it's a stretch because they are the 12th seed and there's obviously all these amazing players, but they're so young, they're so hungry. They're going to come out wanting this medal. So I have really high hopes for them. In this case, just to recap, in the first place, we have Kim Won-ho and So Sun-jae from Korea. Second place, we have Raymond Indra and Nicholas Joaquin from Indonesia. At the first three, fourth place, we have Aaron Chia and Su Wu Yik from Malaysia. The last time they're playing together, I'm hoping they get that medal. And for the last three, fourth place, we have the number 2 seed, Fahar Alfian and Muhammad Fikri. All right, so that is my predictions for the men's doubles for the top 4 finishers. Let me know if you guys agree, by the way, because I think that one's a pretty cool prediction. I'm not going to lie. I really hope Indra and Joaquin make it. But let's talk about the dark horses for this draw, right? I actually put Aaron Chia and So Yik as our first dark horses. This is our last time playing together. They could do exceptionally well, right? Like play free. And I hope if you guys are watching this, if Aaron and So Yik are watching this, guys, play with no pressure. Enjoy this World Championships, okay? You guys deserve it. You guys have been exceptional to Malaysia, to the badminton fans. You owe nothing to nobody, okay? So come out with no pressure, enjoy playing together, and just come out and have fun. And just play each match with all the heart that you have. That's all I want to ask from you guys, okay? I think with that mindset, you guys are going to do exceptional things. Once that pressure's off your shoulders and you're coming out and you're enjoying the game, I think they could go really far, potentially even win it all, right? So I have very high hopes for them. They're not going to have any rotational problems. I guarantee it. It's more of just how you're going to come up with this. Are you going to feel nervous, because this is your last time playing together? You want to play really well for your last time? Or you're just going to come out and enjoy it. I think that's going to make a big difference. Another dark horse I do have Ben Lane and Sean Vendy, our number 10 seed, who will be playing the number 1 seed very early on. I watched Ben and Sean play in the US Open. By the way, amazing people. I met them there and did a lot of interviews with them. Absolutely amazing people. Really fun to talk to. When they play, they kind of remind me of Marcus Gideon and Asuka Mojo a little bit. Like they're very free when they play. They have good teamwork, good camaraderie. But I think this flow that they have to the game is their biggest weapon, right? Like their ability to play free on the court is their biggest weapon, but it also is their biggest weakness. I think they're wielding the weapon very well right now, but there's still a room for improvement for sure, especially for a tournament of this size, the biggest tournament for badminton. They really need to know how to control that weapon, right? When is your flow too free and you need to be more disciplined with the way you play? Or when the tournament is very tight or the game is not going well or not going right, how do you make sure that you can still play free, right? And still have that level of flow and discipline. So I think that's going to be crucial for Ben and Sean. And it's definitely very hard to find that balance in their playing style, especially with this unique weapon that they have. But if they can wield it right and they can really expose people with their speed, I think they could pull some upsets. All right. So high hopes for Ben and Sean. Good luck to you guys. Love the way you guys play. So really rooting for you guys. Besides those, we do have some honorable mentions for men's doubles. Satwik Saraj, Renki Reddy, and Chirag Shetty, the number 3 seed in these draws. I think once again, for these Indian players, it's a double-edged sword with the home crowd. How are you going to play in this arena? Right. Obviously, one of their biggest opponents is going to be the Chinese pair. And the last time they played them, it was 3 sets, right? With the last set being 26-24. So their level is up there. They can definitely win this game. So it's only going to come down to your mental, right? How are you going to perform this match? And they need to come in putting aside all of India's expectations, right? The entire country's expectations, put it to the side. That does not matter right now. Don't look at the fans. Don't look at what everybody is saying. Just focus on your game, right? Come in hungry and come in with that underdog mindset is very important for them. Don't come in looking for that win. If all you're thinking about is winning this match, that's very difficult. You're going to have a lot of pressure on your shoulders. You want to win, but you focus on how to win. That's the most important thing for this match. Yeah. If you come in thinking about how to win and focusing on your strategy, focusing on being patient, focusing on being aggressive, this Indian pair can go very far. Yeah, especially with that boost from the crowd, from the home crowd. But that boost got to come later. First, they got to establish themselves by themselves. Okay. So they definitely have a chance, obviously, against Joaquin and Indra. They have a chance. They can definitely win that match. Against China, they have a chance. They've proven that. They just got to come in with the right mindset. If they come in with the right mindset, plus that boost from the crowd, they're unstoppable. You don't know what can happen. So really, really looking out for them and let's see what they can do. It's going to be a very exciting pair to watch. But yeah, moving on to our mixed doubles now. Starting off the top left quadrant, obviously we have Feng Yanzhe and Huang Dongping at the number 1 seed. Huang Dongping, a veteran in her own right, an absolutely great player. But this pairing, I mean, they've been playing absolutely brilliant, right? and just doing absolutely amazing things. I don't foresee anybody giving them too big of a problem or pulling off an upset too early. Of course, Yuta Watanabe and Maya Taguchi, I think they've been playing really well recently. I'm loving this pairing, really. So I think they're going to have a chance to do really well and give the Chinese pair a challenge. But I do foresee Feng Yanzhe and Huang Dongping moving on to the quarterfinals, right? And quarterfinal wise, Malaysia pair, obviously someone to watch for, but most importantly, I think it's going to be the Chinese pair. But the thing with the Chinese pair is that I think Feng Yanzhe and Huang Dongping, they have a very positive record against this Chinese pair in the matchups, right? So I don't foresee them having too big of an issue. I think every game is important, obviously, and you got to play with the right mindset. You got to come out right, play your normal game. But I don't foresee them having any trouble necessarily, like nothing too crazy. So I do have them coming into the semifinals for sure. And then on the bottom left corner, we have Matthias and Alejandra at the number three seed at the very top. I think they're gonna do really well this time. I mean, they've been on like a revenge tour, this pair, right? They're absolutely killing it. And if you look at their record against all of their opponents in this bottom left quadrant, they actually have the upper hand for basically almost everybody in this lower quadrant. So I definitely have Matthias and Alejandra coming out to the semifinals. I know based on seeding, that's what it looks like. But hey, like I said, like there's a reason why these players are seeded this high, right? And for Matthias and Alejandra, I think they're on a tear right now for sure. And they're not looking back and they're just going through everybody. So I have really high hopes for them. They're going to make it to semifinals. With that being said, their matchup against the number 1 seed is where I'm going to have my next upset. So if we look at their record against the number 1 seed, they're actually 2-2, so they're tied for the matchup. So small things will matter, right? How do you approach the game? What mindset are you in? How you're feeling that day? Did you get good sleep? Blah, blah, blah. These tiny things are going to start mattering more for this semifinal match, right? And they need to want it more. Matthias and Alejandra needs to want it more, right? And they got to be patient. It's very, very important, especially when you're facing up against a number 1 seed and anybody right now at this high level, at the top 10. Like, you need to be patient. Yeah. For Matthias Alejandra, I think they got to come out aggressive. For any like kind of a doubles and mixed doubles, you got to come out aggressive, right? Look for the first hit. So I do have Matthias and Alejandra winning it just because of the momentum they have right now. I think they're going to carry through and they will make it to the finals for sure and take out Feng Yanzhe and Huang Dongping in the semifinals, putting them at 3-4. Now, looking at the top right quadrant, we have Presley Smith and Jenny Guy, our number 14 seed from Team USA. Really high hopes for them, by the way. I love watching them play. And obviously, the pair from France at number 5 seed and Shimogami and Hobara from Japan at number 13. And of course, the Thailand pair at the number 4 seed. I think Dechapol and Supisara, I mean, they've been playing really well together. I don't foresee them having any trouble. I mean, obviously, the matches are going to be very tight. I think their biggest opponent will be the Team France, but they do have the upper hand against Team France. So I'm not too worried for them. I think it's going to be a challenge for sure, but I do see Dechapol and Supisara making it out to the semifinals on the top right quadrant. For the bottom right quadrant, obviously Jiang Zhenbei and Wei Yaxing from China, the number 2 seed, is going to be a huge threat. At the same time, Guo Xinhua and the Chen Fanghui at the number 6 seed really intrigues me. I think they're going to have an exceptional time this time, for sure. I mean, you know, for them, obviously the biggest opponent is going to be their own teammates from China, right? The number 2 seed. But they recently beat them, right? So their level is neck and neck. And head to head, like statistics, they're down, but they're only down like by 1. So it's 3-2. And their 2 wins actually came recently, both in 3 sets. So the level is incredibly close. And I guarantee you that when this matchup goes down, right, Guo Xinhua and Chen Fanghui against Jiang Zhenbei and Wei Yaxing in the quarterfinals, when this matchup goes down, okay, the number 2 seed will have so much pressure on their shoulders. Whether they want to admit it or not, they're going to have so much pressure. Number 1, they're going to have pressure from being the 2nd seed, okay? Number 2, they're going to have pressure from playing their own teammates who are the 6th seed, who are supposed to be worse than them, right? And on top of that, they recently got beaten by them 2 times the last time they met. Right? So there's a lot of pressure on the number 2 seeds. Yeah. They want to show that they are still on top in the team, right? They want to make sure that they put the number 6 seed in their place. So they're going to come out with a lot of pressure is what I am betting on. And because of that pressure, I think they will buckle for sure. So I do have the number 6 seed from China taking out the number 2 seed in the quarterfinals. moving on into the semifinals against Dechapol and Supisara. Now, in the semifinal match, I do have Guo Xinhua and Chen Fanghui winning because I feel like they are the upcoming pair, right? They're young, they're hungry, and once they beat their teammates, right, in the quarterfinal, I think their confidence is going to be through the roof, right? They're going to come out swinging against this Thailand pair, and with their speed and attack, I think they will overwhelm them. They will come out on top going into the finals. So for me, I do have the Danish pair Matthias and Alejandra going up against Guo Xinhua and Chen Fanghui in the finals, and I think that's going to be an incredible match. I think Matthias and Alejandra is out for blood, right? They're really, really hungry for a win, and they're just absolutely killing it right now. And Guo Xinhua and Chen Fanghui, I think they're going to be hungry and looking for that win. So it's going to be an incredible match. I think it's going to be very tight. However, I do have Matthias and Alejandra coming out on top because I think they will just want it more. But the most important thing I'm most worried about is them staying patient. So I really, really hope they're able to stay patient while they continue on this road that they're on, right? But if they are patient, I do have the Danish team winning first place for the mixed doubles. So to do a quick summary for the mixed doubles, first place we have Matthias and Alejandra from Denmark. Second place we have Guo Xinhua and Chen Fanghui from China. And then at the first 3/4 place, we have Feng Yanzhe and Huang Dongping, the number 1 seed. And the last 3/4 place, we have Dechapol and Supisara from Thailand. All right. So that is my predictions for mixed doubles. For dark horses, I have Presley Smith and Jenny Guy from Team USA. I think this is a very valid choice. They've been playing incredibly well this season, had many upsets, right? I think these gave them a lot of confidence. I think they feel good. The most important thing for me is that I was talking to Presley during US Open. He told me about how he really enjoys being the underdog. So in this case, I feel like it's the perfect scenario for him. I mean, it's the World Championships. Nobody's expecting Team USA to do well, right? I think just go out there with no pressure, all right? Don't worry about what expectations other people have. Go out there and play your game and just put everything out on that court, right? Play to the best of your ability. I think that's the only goal you should have in mind for Presley and Jenny. And with that, if they're able to, really perform at that high max level, I think they can make it into the semifinals, guys. Yeah, I think they can make it, but they really got to believe in themselves and really just play with no pressure, play as the underdogs, fight against all of their peers. But they definitely have a chance, but they really got to do like almost perfect. So high hopes for them. And the other dark horse I have is Yuta Watanabe and Maya Taguchi. Like I mentioned before, I have really high hopes for them. I think they've been playing really well recently. I love the pairing. I think they played together really well. So yeah, I have really high hopes. I mean, of course, Yuta, an absolute veteran. I mean, this guy's done it all, right? So I think with his experience and everything, he's going to be able to perform. I'm very curious to see how his match is going to go against the number 1 seed. I hope they come in with a lot of confidence. Definitely come out aggressive. It's going to be important. So let's see how they're going to do. I have high hopes for them. But those are the dark horses for this time. Moving on to the last event of the day, men's singles. I think men's singles is one of the most intriguing ones because the talent is so deep for men's singles. Like really anybody could win these matches. I'm telling you, the level is so high. So we're going to break it down, but please take these picks with a grain of salt. I think there's a chance that upsets be pulled left and right. So we really don't know. Let's jump in though. Okay, so we're gonna start on the top left quadrant. We got Shi Yuqi at the number 1 seed. We got Farhan at number 11, Chou Tiancheng at number 6, and of course Wen Hongyang at number 16. All right, so this top left quadrant is pretty packed. I'm not gonna lie, but for Shi Yuqi, I mean, he's an incredible player and he has a positive record against everybody here, right? So it's really hard to bet against Shi Yuqi, and I know he's the number 1 seed, but Shi Yuqi is number 1 seed for a reason. Amongst these amazing players, he is number 1. So I do have him coming out all the way to the semifinals. However, I don't think the road to the semifinals is going to be easy for him. Off the bat, Ayush Shetty on the first round is going to be really difficult. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more in the next few minutes. So he really needs to manage his mental. I mean, going through these players is going to be very, very difficult. Absolutely very, very difficult. But I do have him coming out. Got to give him the respect that he deserves. Put him at the semifinals. Now, if we look at the bottom left quadrant, we have Anders Antonsen, number 4. We have Toma Popov at the 15, Li Shifeng at number 8, and of course, Naroka at number 10 from Japan. For this one, I do have Anders Antonsen coming out. He does have a positive record against every single matchup here, which means that he beat them more than he lost to them. So I think as long as he plays normally, plays in a good mindset, play the game that he knows, he will be okay and make it to the semifinals to face off against Shiichi. Which I must say, I do have Shiichi coming out of that semifinal match into the finals because of their record against each other. Shiichi just has way more wins than Anders Antonsen, so it's hard to dispute that. And I think based on Shiichi's performance in crucial moments, I would bet that she would be able to go into that finals and get past Anders Antonsen. So that's my pick on this left side. On the right side, it's very tight. Once again, looking at you at the number 13 seed, Victor Lai at the 7th, Ding Chunyi at number 12, and Jonathan Christie at number 3, right? I think a lot of people would feel like Jonathan Christie would do well, given that he's a number 3 seed, and we've been picking, like people basically that's very high seeded. But based off of that match that Victor Lai played against Jonathan Christie in the Indonesia Open, I really have Victor over Jonathan Christie again, for sure. I think Victor will get past Lo King Yu. He's looking still coming back from some injury. Like, I think he's still trying to find himself a little bit. So I think Victor absolutely has that. And he'll go into the quarterfinals to face off against Jonathan Christie. That match against Jonathan Christie in Indonesia was incredible. And to the point where I feel like Jonathan didn't know what to do anymore. There was nothing he could have done, like what else is there to do? So I have Victor Lai over Jonathan Christie in the quarterfinals to advance into the semis. And for the bottom right quadrant, we got our very own Kunlavat Vitsadarn at the number 2 seed, Lakshaya number 14, which, by the way, home crowd advantage again. Crystal Popov at number 5 and Alex Lanier at number 9. This one, man, every single quadrant is just packed for men's singles. It's hard to say. Seeded players definitely stand out. Alex Lanier, Crystal Popov, they're the youngsters that are coming up. But I will have to say I have to go with Kunlavat for this one to make it to the semifinals. But Lakshaya is a question mark with the home crowd. He could go crazy. Crystal Popov is a question mark. Hard to say, but Kunlavat does have the upper hand against Crystal Popov, just matchups wise. Same with Alex Lanier. I think Alex is still coming up. He's young. It's hard to say how he's going to perform. So I do have Kunlavat Vitsadarn coming out into the semifinals to match up with Victor Lai. This matchup is incredibly interesting. This is one of my favorite matchups that I have here because Kunlavat, like his coach said, he has a very defensive style of play, right? He likes to go from defense to offense. So in a sense, he's like an impenetrable shield. Victor Lai is a very aggressive player. He's an attacking type of player, and he has a very unique attacking style, okay? It's like a spear against a shield, you know what I mean? And this shield knows how to go from defense to offense. So it's very, very hard to say, and they've never played against each other before. So it's so hard to say. Kunlavat recently came out and said that he's feeling well. He's been lifting a lot of weight, strengthening. So I hope the weight is not an issue anymore. I hope his back is not an issue anymore. If those things are not an issue, I will pick Kunlavat over Victor Lai and give Victor Lai the 3/4 place once again, like last year, and have Kunlavat move into the finals to go up against Shiichi. All right. And in this finals match, I'm not going to lie, Shiichi does have the upper hand. I mean, Shiichi is bigger, and historically, Kunlavat struggles with taller players to a sense. And also, he has a deficit record against Shiichi. So for the finals, I will have to pick Shiichi over Kunlavat. That doesn't mean that Kunlavat doesn't have a chance. I think Kunlavat absolutely have a chance. I mean, at that point, everybody's around the same level. Really matters how you come into that game, your mental. I hope Kunlavat's team prepares him for this, which I know they will. I hope Shiichi's team prepares him for this. I think it's going to be absolutely crucial. It's going to come down to the last few points, I guarantee you, for that match. So, but I do have Shiichi coming out top at the first place. So to wrap up with the summary of my top 4 picks, at the first place for men's singles, I have Shiichi, the number 1 seed, and at the second place, I have Kunlavat Vitsadarn, the number 2 seed. And then for the first 3/4 place, I have Victor Lai, a fan favorite, and one of my favorites, obviously, from the Pan Am region. And then for our last 3/4 place, we have Anders Antonsen from Denmark, taking the bronze medal home. All right. So those are my predictions for men's singles. Let's talk about dark horses real quick for men's singles. I do have Ayush Shetty off the bat. I mean, this stands out immediately, right? I mean, Ayush Shetty is an incredible player. I love watching him play. I think he absolutely has the ability to beat Shiichi. But once again, this home crowd is going to be a double-edged sword. I know the Indian crowd is going to go insane, right? They're going to have so much expectations. They're going to be cheering so loud for their team. But at the same time, when you do that, there's so much pressure on the player, right, to perform. So I really, really hope that Ayush Shetty can manage. I hope the Team India's head coach or Team India's coaching team really prepares their team for this. I guarantee everybody's excited. to be playing for a home crowd, but you gotta rein it in. Yeah, you gotta rein it in. For you, Shetty, he needs to come out the right mindset, come out hungry but humble, right? Understand that Shuqi is the number 1 seed. I am not as good as him based on ranking, right? But I have what it takes to win. You gotta be confident. You gotta know you can do this, right? And be aggressive. Immediately coming out the gates, put pressure on Shuqi immediately, right? Give him those long rallies. Be patient. For a young player, the hardest thing is being patient. So definitely be patient. Take your time. Find those holes for attack. Find those opportunities, right? Don't rush into things. Take it nice and easy, right? But aggressive. So that's the type of mindset that he's got to come out with, right? Very, very hungry for that win. The worst thing that can happen to a top seeded player is facing a young player who is hungry and willing to do anything to get that bird over the net. Trust me, seeded players hate that stuff, okay? So Yu Shetty got to come out with that energy, and hopefully that crowd gives him that boost. I really hope he manages that well. And if he's able to, with that boost, he can do some real damage. So I'm really, really hopeful for him. I'm going to be tuning into that match for sure. Next dark horse pick is actually Cho Tian-chung, the number 6 seed. I know he's a number 6 seed. Hard to say he's a dark horse, but, given his age, right, I do have to put him here. He needs to get past Wen Hongyang from China, obviously, which I think is absolutely doable. He can do that. Also, at the same time, once he get past Wen Hongyang, I think he can beat Aoi Farhan. No problem. He just has to play his game, his normal game. The toughest part is playing Shi Yuqi, right, in the quarterfinals. But he recently beat Shi Yuqi in the China Open. However, I didn't have him beating him here because China Open's performance was so unique. Like, if you watch his last few plays, he was aggressive, and for a reason, right? Because based on the environment, the arena, the drift, the wind that was in the arena, he had to be aggressive, okay? And he figured that out, and he figured out what worked for him, okay? But I don't know if he can do that again. That level of aggression is incredible. I don't know if he can replicate that, especially against a strong player like that. But he absolutely can do it. Obviously, he has the ability to, but can he do it again? It's going to be very, very interesting to see. I think for Cho Tian-chung, the most important thing is recovery. I think a lot of people, when they see Cho Tian-chung perform like that in China Open, they forget the impact that age has on your body. But being a 37-year-old, when you wake up in the morning, I'm sure it's true, you're going to feel different compared to a 25-year-old. I guarantee you that your body's going to be hurting. So recovery is going to be crucial. Whatever it takes, ice baths, massages. Well, I wouldn't recommend massages during a tournament, but stretching, all these things are going to be absolutely crucial for Cho Tian-chung, right? Because recovery is so important for him. But that's for him, and I hope he does well. If he manages to beat Shishi, I think it'll be mind-blowing, absolutely amazing, right? And for my last pick for dark horse, I have Alex Lanier, a young player, right, from France. He's young, he's hungry, he's desperate for that breakthrough on the big stage, right? And great thing about him, his abilities are on par to compete. It's more of a matter of patience and mental resilience, right? For Alex Lanier, obviously the thing that he lacks the most is experience on this type of stage. And he can make up for that experience by being patient and being resilient. Yeah. And for Alex, I think it's very important to not come in too hot-headed, wanting to win, right? Obviously, every player wants to win, but try not to keep that in front of your mind, okay? Try to take it one game at a time, right? And focus on being the underdog, right? Put yourself down and then look up to these players and be like, okay, he's seated higher than me, right? But I'm going to take him down. I'm confident, right? And I'm going to give him everything I've got. I'm going to let it all out and give him the hardest time possible and take him out. So I think that's the mentality that Alex got to come in with. Obviously, he has everything he needs to win, but the only thing is his mental and his patience on the court. From a young player standpoint, patience is so important against these veterans, right? So absolutely crucial. I think Alex Lanier has the ability to do very well. I think he does have the opportunity to take out Christoph Popov, which would be insane, because obviously Popov has been on a tear as well, doing absolutely amazing. So I'm really hoping to see Alex perform really well as the young guy coming up. So good luck to him. But honorable mentions for singles. I do want to mention Nat Nguyen from Ireland. He's been playing really well. I mean, performed really well at China Open on a hot streak, beat Yu Shetty, beat Li Shifeng all in 3 sets. Absolutely great player. So he's one to watch for. Can he make it past Anders Endelson? I'm not sure. It's going to be very difficult for sure. But hey, you got to give it your all. I think for Nat Nguyen, nothing to lose. Go out there and play your game. Give him hell, right? So that's for Nat Nguyen. Got to give him his credit. Of course, Kristo Popov has had an incredible year. How he manages mental, again, is very crucial. He is still very young. The reason why I don't have Popov winning these matches, like whether maybe he beats Alex, I think that's a good possibility. But winning against Kunlova or like Shasan, I think is going to be quite difficult because I think he's going to be putting too much pressure on himself. Like he knows that France has all the expectations on him to perform, right? The entire country is waiting for him to take a medal home. So I think he's going to feel pressure. He's going to put that pressure on himself. And because of that pressure, he won't be able to perform well. Then again, if Kristo Popov is watching, I do want to tell him, take it one game at a time. Try not to think about the medal too much. Try not to think about winning. Just think about playing your best game, right? As long as you play your best game, the results will come with that. So that's what I would say to Kristof. But I think he's an absolutely amazing player. I think as long as he plays normal, he can do really, really well. But I'm really worried about this pressure that's on his shoulders because he's carrying a lot of weight. So hopefully he can let that go and perform. Last but not least, honorable mentions. We have Lakshya Sen, the number 14 seed from India. A lot of honorable mention this time is Team India because I'm really worried about this double-edged sword with the home crowd. Oftentimes it backfires without you even realizing. So, obviously it's the pride and joy of India, absolutely incredible player, a lot of expectation on him, but he has to face up against Kunlova in the round of 16. This is a tough match. I know the Indian crowd's going to show up for him, right? But how is he going to deal with that home court advantage? Is he going to let it affect him? Is he going to let everybody's expectations affect him? I think is going to be absolutely crucial. I think this applies to all Indian players this time. And, just word of advice, don't let it affect you. Trying to tone out the expectations, right? If Lakshya Sen can tone out the expectations, just focus on playing his game, playing to his best abilities. I think he can do a lot of damage, maybe even take Kunlova out. But once you get these expectations in your head and you feel like you need to win, you need to perform for these people that came out to watch you, that gets very difficult. I really hope our Indian players doesn't get caught up in that. It's always great to play in home crowd. It's loud. Everybody's cheering for you, but it can backfire in an instant. So I hope the Indian players are prepared, which I think they are. I'm pretty sure the coaches went through this with them, and hopefully they can really wield that weapon of theirs, which is their home crowd. This time at the World Championships. But that is my predictions for men's singles and for all events. So let me know in the comment section down below if you guys agree with my predictions and some of the dark horse picks and who you guys have winning for these events or the top 4 that you guys have for winning these events. But now that we're done with the predictions, I do want to talk about our World Championships coverage for the TLZ podcast. Unfortunately, this time we will not be in India to cover the tournament, but we will be covering it remotely. We'll be coming out with match highlights, match analysis, match breakdowns, and things like that throughout the tournament to share all of our opinions and everything with you guys. So definitely stay tuned for that. And on top of that, we have a giveaway that will be associated with our content for the World Championships. The specifics for the giveaway will be coming out shortly on Instagram. So if you're not already, make sure you guys follow our Instagram to stay tuned for that because it's a lot of stuff that we're giving away. And just to give you guys a little bit of information on it, we are partnering with Victor this time for this giveaway. And there's a lot of limited edition items coming out that we're going to be handing out. So definitely make sure you guys stay tuned to that. Follow our social accounts to make sure you guys don't miss out on it. All right. But that is the big announcement. We're super excited to cover the tournament. Let the games begin. Good luck to all the players, all the coaches, the officials. I know it's going to be crazy once the tournament starts. So good luck to you guys organizing everything and keeping things in check. But yeah, good luck to everybody. And we cannot wait for these matches to begin. Thank you guys so much for watching. And if you guys enjoyed today's episode, make sure you guys hit that like button and the subscribe button down below. Show us support for the channel. Truly helps the channel grow. Also, don't forget to follow us on our socials at the TLZ Podcast to stay up to date on upcoming guests and highlights. All right, thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.